Good evening, everyone, and thank you and giving me an opportunity to be part of this event. Good evening to teachers, parents, and children. Look, we are all product of our own experiences, and I'm here to share some of my own experiences. And in that context, probably also talk about why emotional strength and emotional resilience is so important in this time and age, and what are the simple action steps that we can take in our daily life to hopefully build that. I'm not saying that these are the only steps that one has to take, but I think they can be inbuilt on a daily basis in your life, and probably it should help you doing it. I am practicing it. I'm not saying I've perfected it, but that's what really I'm going to talk about. So, what do I do for a living? I think it has been already covered. I have been a banker and a CXO role, a transaction excess of $100 billion. And this work has really taught me to deal with complex situations, with, working with government of India, multilaterals, being in very different situations, crisis management, problem solving. And I think it has certainly helped me to build emotional resilience. And I think what took away for me from here was is you need to invest in yourself. Only when you invest in yourself, you will be able to do all of these things. But in addition to that, I think what I take the most pride in is the other two facets of my life. The second is literally doing, series of marathons. I have done 15 and plus marathons. I have done ultra marathons. I have done Ironman triathlons. What was interesting in that journey of, doing Ironman triathlons was is that human body is an amazing machine. The more you do, the more it gets better. We don't realize that what is the potential of this body, whether it's brain, whether it's mind, whether it's body. That's what I discovered in during this process, and I'll talk a little bit about it. But what it really again did was help me build my physical and mental endurance, because the rigor, the discipline, the process, the training, the failure that you go through once you don't achieve your targets just makes you stronger and stronger. It also gave me the fact that when you're training for 6-7 hours continuously biking alone, what is the power of aggregation? What is the power when you generate when you're not talking to anyone? Ears free, hands free, without just being yourself. So that was something I found as part of that journey, and kind of helped me in, also building my emotional resilience. So what I discovered is invest in your health. We don't do that. We don't invest in our health. We take our health for granted. We take our body for granted. And then, what is Ironman triathlon? It's a 3.8 kilometers of open water swimming, ocean swimming. I'll just tell you, like, I've been a successful banker, done deals after deals, full of ego, and all of that. When you are in the ocean, you are not even a matchstick, right? A 12 feet wave just jostles you left, right, and you just realize your ego is all shed. It's completely gone. And that's what it taught me: humility, empathy. And, it's all about then going through that process and then training for 1.5 hours of continuous swimming. It was like meditation for me. Then after that 3.8 kilometers of swimming, you end up doing 180 kilometers of cycling. It is continuously 6-7 hours of cycling. You're not talking to anyone. You're really aggregating yourself. It becomes extremely, again, powerful internally, and you discover new strengths, new energy levels in you, as you feel that, oh, you are actually doing so much of, workout, but this actually aggregates you. Because just ask yourself, when you are awake and you are like, not watching TV or anything for 6-7 hours, you have not spoken to anyone. Very rarely that would be. When you don't speak to anyone, you aggregate a lot of energy. That's what I discovered while doing cycling and, going through this particular journey. So again, this was something pretty enriching for me, and I thought I'll just share that with you. This is my photo just to show you that I've done this. Coming on the run, this is after finishing your 180 kilometers, you have to do the full marathon. Again, look, this is something, unless you don't challenge yourself, you won't change yourself. This is so important, and I figured that this as part of my whole training that I went through. But look, again, this is something which a lot of the people have done, and I was one of the first 5 triathletes in Ironman triathlon in India which did that. But what gives me the most satisfaction is to be called as a family man rather than investment banker or as an Ironman, or having a CXO role, because family and relationships, in my limited view, is a university of life. And what I did was my learnings in my corporate life, learnings in during my Ironman and ultramarathon training, when I then kind of put them into my family, I just found it is such a productive engagement with your children, with your parents, and all of that. So invest in your relationships, because when you do that is when you realize your real power of what you can give, actually, and what you can even also extract from the relationship. So why am I talking all this? We are in a VUCA world, volatile, uncertain, complex, ambiguous. Disruption is a new normal. Technology disruptions, political disruptions, trade wars. Then, of course, we have, yesterday Mr. Trump came up with some penalties and extra tariffs on India. So we have a new disruptor in chief, which has been elected, Mr. Donald Trump, which keeps us anxious and full of anxieties. So look, I think in this particular world that we are living in, and with a lot of digital and social distractions that we have, and trillions of dollars are being spent on taking away our attention. Yeah, it becomes very important how we work on our emotional resilience and emotional strength. And more importantly, also, if you look at from the kids here who are actually going through a lot of stress about in terms of their academia, is adds to the pressure. And then the midlife crisis for the parents because they don't know what to do next, right? So that's something which adds to the mix and makes it very important that what should we be doing then? We should be actually working on our physical endurance. We should be working on being agile. We want to be adaptable and possess emotional resilience. And for all of that, one should invest in my view, we should invest in our own self, skills, capabilities, hunger to learn, all of that. We don't do that so often. We're just moving on a target. We're trying to run for a target. And then our own health. And then finally, I would say also in our relationships, both close and distant. This is what I would say are the three key asset classes. When you talk to any investment banker or a banker, you ask him which are the top three asset classes, he will say real estate, property, gold, silver. But I think these are the three key asset classes that we should be investing in. Now, with this context, I would just quickly touch upon the power of well-being and how basically trying to work on some few simple things would lead to building emotional resilience and emotional strength. And I'm saying it is a pretty complex subject, and then there's a lot of science behind it. And I'm not by any distant kind of possibility have any science or educational knowledge behind it. But I do practice some basic things around power of well-being. And I think if you focus on all of that, financial assets are a byproduct and will keep building. With that, let me just talk about the increased relentlessness and coping skills and enhanced mental health and emotional health. Yeah, so it is a very slow, long, deep, and continuous process. I've been practicing it, but must admit I have not perfected it. And in my view, it all starts with the home and the family. I think if we do perform certain very simple steps in the family, I think we can really build a lot of emotional resilience within ourselves and within the family members. But before that, you need a lot of self-awareness. What are you? What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? Okay, you should be asking yourself, what is going well? What is not going well? What are the strengths of your family? What are your priorities of your family? Financial, non-financial. Seek continuous feedback on, because self-awareness is very important before you plunge into anything, any action steps that you take. Take a pause, have me time, reflect, and then cultivate self-awareness. It's a continuous process. It is not a static process. And we are living in a completely dynamic world. And with that, I will just talk about some of the baby steps that I would recommend all of you in this room to try. Respect your body. It all starts here. If you are fit, if you are healthy, your mind will be also healthy. You will be able to cope with pressures much better. I think build new and diverse capabilities. We at times don't do that. As a result of that, we become weak. As a result of that, we are not able to cope with emotionally with a lot of different things. Set non-financial, non-commercial target. We always set a target that I want to be a CEO, I want to be, getting into big university, but set something that I want to do. And when I want to play a guitar, I want to do something outside of which has any monetary effect. It make you feel secure. It makes you feel confident, makes you feel happy. Engage in sports. It teaches you rigor. It teaches you failure. It teaches you how to overcome failure. Processing pain. Very, very important. We all need to learn to process pain. With kids, this is the most important thing that I have learned. A lot of time I used to fool myself that you should spend quality time with the kids. But I think we need to spend even quantity time with the kids. Only when you spend quantity time with the kids is when they will open up and share and open up. So that's where you end up then spending quality time with them. Try not to be transactional with them. We are always thinking about, ye ho gaya ki nahi ho gaya? Have you done this? How has your class been? Don't be transactional with them. Remind ourselves that while academic performance is very important, but it's only one small component in measuring the life success. Back yourself and your kids, very important. We should back our kids. We do a lot of comparison. Uska bachcha ye kar raha hai, uska bachcha wo kar raha hai. Har bachcha alag hai. This is what I think is very important for the kids to feel emotionally strong. Why do they become emotionally weak? Is when they are being compared, when they are being, put into undue pressures. Follow the concept of piggy bank. Keep dropping the coin. Keep dropping the coin and just don't count. Focus more on process, less on outcomes. And finally, I would just add a few other points. Clearly, here is we should focus on building skills, do outdoor activities. Kids needs parent and family the most when they are vulnerable, when they are losing. I think we forget that because we try and kind of overload them. Practice the power of touch. We have forgotten the power of touch. Hug your children, hug your grandparents, hug your parents. It gives a lot of emotional strength. It creates a lot of foundational strength in your soul, and which allows you to then cope with different emotions, cope with difficult and different situations. It has the most healing power. Parents, grandparents, family, remind ourselves that we are university of life. They are perpetual teachers, and how we can keep building those skills and capabilities. And then, of course, I always tell my kids say, I don't like this, I want to be this, and that is my passion. I tell them at least do one thing in a day or one thing in a week which you don't like. Because even when you're pursuing something, we end up doing things which we don't like. So that's how you build emotional resilience. Of course, practice discipline. Kids do what parents do. Let's try and kind of be, as the previous speaker said, we preach what you, do. So that's very, very important. And spread positivity. If you spread positivity, it will end up being actually giving a lot of emotional foundation and support. So with this, I thought I'll keep it simple. I'll try and relate to day-to-day life as to how we can implement these steps. And that's what really the punchline is. Set your limits, breach your limits, and keep doing difficult things. Thank you.